Hello, and welcome to the Conscious Communion podcast, where we traverse through the inner dwellings of the human experience through conversation. I'm your host, Danae. Join me as we explore the interconnection of creativity and community. Dr. Brianna Sass is a licensed acupuncturist certified in both acupuncture and Chinese medicine. While Brianna studied her Bachelor's of Science with a study in behavioral health and nutrition, with a minor in psychology, she went on to get both her master's and doctorate in acupuncture and Chinese medicine. Brianna is also a certified quantum shiatsu practitioner, a sound alchemist, and a lifelong student of the earth and her wisdom. She is kind, compassionate, gentle, and wise. I hold Brianna in a high esteem, and I'm grateful to welcome her in this space today. Welcome, Brianna.
Hi, hello. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Yeah, this is so sweet. I'm so honored to have you here. I think it's so funny the way our paths have crossed, and I love the universe and the way that she moves because I almost this time last year, I went to a full moon ceremony and I saw you doing a beautiful sound bath with your partner. And only 2 weeks ago, we were able to sit in ceremony and in circle together.
You know what's so funny is, even hearing you saying that, I'm like, oh my gosh, what magic! Like,
What magic!
truly. And like, I just have to tell you, I am so freaking grateful you came up to chat with us after the full
Yeah.
moon sound bath because those are always like such huge, like,
Mm.
I gotta step out of my own way and like put my fear aside and just like show up in this like major way. And then to feel so vulnerable and then like receive kindness and love like
Mm.
afterwards. Anyway, it was just so amazing to meet you that night and to, yeah, then just 2 weeks ago sit in ceremony with you and then sleep on the earth and together like next to each
Right next to each other. So sweet. I
other. Oh my
know.
gosh.
It's
Oh my
wild.
gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
Your medicine with sound alchemy specifically, I was injured during that same space and time that I came and sat for that full moon ceremony. And I remember feeling every vibration and every frequency just moving through my body with such ease. And I remember sleeping with so much peace that night.
Oh my gosh.
And it's just such a testament to the way you carry yourself. I feel like you carry that vibration and that frequency in the way that you move and the way that you communicate. And I kind of just wanted to ask you, like, how that began for you. Have you always been like this? Have you always just been this conduit for calm? And because you really do move with such grace. So I hope you can take that compliment. But
Oh my
also,
gosh.
has this
Yeah.
been you always, or has this been something that you've had to seek out and pursue for yourself?
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for this question. By the
Yeah.
way, first of all, as you're asking this question, I'm having this flashback of being like a freshman in high school, joining the marching band for the first year. I played clarinet, and we were at band camp, and it was really hot. And I was dehydrated because I didn't drink enough water. So I fainted and, just landed on the grass. But the point is, everyone like runs, all the band, everyone like runs up and surrounds me. And they're like, that was the most graceful faint I've ever seen in my life. Like, I don't even think it was like, you know, real. It
Real?
was just, yeah, yeah. It was very funny. So anyway, that was the takeaway from that because, yeah, I used to faint a lot, but apparently I did so very gracefully. And I think that's a testament to, yeah, like starting to practice Qigong with my mother when I was 15 and like just learning so early on that I was taught and conditioned to not do what felt natural in my body, But then Qigong was this permission to move freely and in your natural, authentic way. And then just recognizing the dance of like, oh, I most of the time, 100% of the time, do not let my body just flow and be
Mm.
free in that way. So yeah, that anyway, point of the story is yeah, it started, with my mom and just flowing together, healing together, going through that journey. And yeah, I feel like I could go on and on and on with that, but
Please
I'll
do if
stop
you have
there.
more to
Oh.
share. Like, I mean, I think it's so beautiful that your mom paved the way for you. That's not the case for everyone. And that is it's a unique introduction to something that you're now pursuing as an offering for folks to understand themselves better, right?
Oh my gosh, you are so right. And, in a lot of ways, uh, I'm realizing too, like, my mother and I have a beautiful relationship, but also a very, very difficult one, as I know a lot of us do with our mothers. Um, and, but I'm realizing that she has, in a lot of ways, been a steward for me to practice all of these practices. And, like, for instance, um, she was the one who introduced me to the commune that I would eventually live on when I was 21, and
Mm.
like go even deeper into that practice and that inquiry. And so, yeah, I am so deeply grateful for her um, and all of my uh, maternal relatives and that lineage. But yeah, to kind of add on to the previous thought though as well was that I mentioned that I was in marching band, and in a lot of ways I feel like that has been such a formative experience because that was my first introduction to the use of unified intentional sound and movement
Mm.
as a way to like awaken and enliven energy. And like our job was to we were the pregame uh you know offering before football games. And so we would literally like could set the tone, not to be too
Mhm.
on the nose there, but like set the tone for the day and the game. And so marching out onto a field and playing this like singular harmonious sound with the band. And then it was a 300 piece ensemble. And like and then we got to sing together too. And I just remember just being in complete and utter like awe every single time, and just getting chill, full body chills. I mean, being like moved to tears.
Mm.
And I know many of us can relate to that because sound has the ability to do that and to like awaken memories and incite these deep feelings of like oneness and wholeness and unity. So um anyway, I feel like uh just the unique combination of like I started ballet class when I was 4, and then started playing
Mm.
an instrument at 8, and then practicing qigong at 15. And like the all the different threads of these practices are uniting in this way that's like, oh wow, like yeah, all life is just like vibration, all life is just movement, all life is sound, like we're all connected in these very intricate ways. So yeah, I'll
What a
stop there.
gift. No, that's so I you don't need to stop if you're feeling like you want to express more. I'm sure more will come up as we continue to converse, but thank you for sharing that first off. And secondly, I feel like also you being on a commune at 21 after integrating the practices that you started to learn, that must have been huge for just your understanding of what that medicine can bring to community.
Mm, oh my gosh, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I um so backstory, I was very much like an outcast, very much bullied all of the time as a kid, very
Mm.
much just dealing with lots of anxiety. And I was diagnosed with obesity, and I just like, it was an intense childhood. I know a lot of us can relate to that as well, but um, yeah, so finding this path and then finding the commune that I lived on at 21 was like, that I can say was the first time I felt like I belonged to a group of people, and like I could feel safe to embody, like as a body. And I remember looking in the mirror, which I often avoided doing because it would, bring up such terrible feelings. But I would look in a mirror, and for the very first time in my life, was like, oh, like I love this person that I see looking back
Mm.
at me. And that was just, such a new foreign feeling.
A
Um,
revelation at the time, I'm sure, right?
yeah, completely, completely. So,
Mm.
yeah, that space was definitely this like, oh yeah, like look what happens when you bring people together, like with similar intentions, everyone contributing equally to the whole, everyone a part of the whole, right? Like there's no separation, everyone has a purpose. Um, and it was just like, oh, it was truly, truly life changing, life changing.
I'm sure. I'm sure. And so I would love for you to share when you were on the commune, were you studying Taoist philosophy and did that begin then? And if it did, I would love for you to just share a little bit about Taoist philosophy.
Mhm.
I know a little bit, but I would love for folks to hear about what it is and all of that.
Awesome. Yes, thank you for those questions.
Hmm.
So yeah, when I started practicing Qigong and started receiving regular acupuncture, um, that's when I was introduced to Buddhism and Taoism. And I would say I started seriously studying it my sophomore year of college, where I took some Chinese philosophy classes with a professor that I'm actually so grateful to still be connected to. And I've been
Nice.
translating the Tao Te Ching with him every week in the past like 3 years. So it's been, I have just so deeply grateful for my teachers and mentors. And like, it's just so amazing to still be connected with someone that I was connected to in college, which was
Mhm.
10 years ago now. So, um, yeah, but so I would say I seriously started studying Taoism then and was introduced to the Tao Te Ching and the Zhuangzi and the I Ching and other texts of that nature. Um, and yeah, so I'll just give my brief little explanation and introduction into Taoism. I also just want to acknowledge that I'm by no means a um, expert on the matter. I am merely a student and enthusiastic student of Tao. And so yeah, Taoism is so beautiful in that it's so difficult to talk about. And I
Mm.
think, right, and I think if you've read the Tao Te Ching, you're familiar with the chapter of
Mhm.
like, it's like a name that cannot be named is not an eternal name. And so it's this idea of that assigning words to it or assigning a designation or particular meaning on something is ultimately going to take away its potential. And so
Mhm.
we can define Tao as essentially an ever unfolding, ever changing process, right? So I think a lot of folks will translate Tao as like the way, with
Mhm.
like a capital T and a capital W, as if there's this singular, like one way of doing something, right? Like I think of it like capital G, God. It's like, or
Mm.
um, anyway, the point that I'm making there is, um, in classical Chinese, there are no capitalizations, there are no articles, so there are no thes,
Mm.
um, and nothing is capitalized. And so I think that is a testament to how it's like nothing is good or bad, right? There's no designations. And so Taoism is the study of letting it all in, welcoming it all, letting it all be a part of the whole. And Taoism, then, as a practice, is about learning how to live in a way that is just in accordance to the natural unfolding and unfurling and processing of everything in the universe. Um, so, anyway, that is why I am just so jazzed about it, because I truly think that if we all just gave ourselves permission to just
Mm.
follow what is natural and just let our bodies like feel the natural pull of whatever season we're in and just
Mm.
move in that way, like give ourselves permission to move in that way, the world would be a much happier place with lots of like less suffering. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, I also just want to mention that um, something I've learned over the years is that the most read copy of the Tao Te Ching, or the most read translation, pardon me, of the Tao Te Ching is by Stephen Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
And are you familiar with
I
that
think that's the one
translation
I
at
have,
all?
actually.
So I just want to
Please tell me. Teach me.
I just want to spill a little tea about Stephen Mitchell.
Love the tea.
Yeah. Um, so this is a person who um, doesn't speak Chinese at all, like never studied Chinese, but
Mm.
was given a huge advance to like write this text. He's also translated a lot of other text, but doesn't really have the background in any of these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that um, something that is irksome to a lot of like professors and like scholars the of Tao and of the Tao Te Ching of Lao Tzu, their criticism is that he omits a lot of the text and alters a lot of the original text to make it more of like a I mean, you'll notice that he uses the capitalization of like the
Mm-hmm.
way,
Mm-hmm.
um, and there's a lot of chapters that he just kind of like, yeah, like maybe takes one or two lines and then omits the rest, and it really does take away from, I think, the original intent of the text, and kind of puts like a very positive like spin on everything. And if you read a lot of the other translations that exist, like it's so different. And so I have just this running joke with my professor because he's been working on his translation for the past like, I don't know, 40 years, like, really long time.
His life's
Um,
work, I'm sure.
his It's absolutely his life's work, and like he cannot find a publisher for it because nobody, like, they're
Mm.
like, oh, we don't need another, Tao Te Ching. Like, it's the most translated text besides the Bible, which is crazy to think about. Um, oh, but anyway, point is, so yeah, if you have the Stephen Mitchell copy, great. I encourage you to like read it alongside another translation. Um, and just, yeah, there's so many different ways to interpret the text, to interpret the
Mm.
philosophy as a whole. And I think that's the beautiful thing about it is like, I've been reading that text since 2012,
Mm.
and every single time I pick it up, I learn something new from it or get something new from it. And I think that is just such a beautiful, um, yeah, it's a beautiful metaphor for the medicine itself, where it's just we're always learning, we're always changing, we're always growing, we're always evolving. That process
Mm-hmm.
is never, it's ceaseless. It goes on uh, for infinity, and to just remember to offer ourselves that freedom and liberation from
Mm.
the systems that aim to keep us so opposite of that all of the time.
Behaving, right? Like in accordance with all of the, I would imagine that Stephen Mitchell's copy is westernized. And yeah, and it's
Very much
interesting.
so.
Yeah, because I know part of Taoist philosophy is as above, so below. And I think it's a beautiful testament and representation to nature herself. Today is, I love that we're recording this in the halfway mark in bulk, right? And
Yes.
we're halfway, we're almost there, we're almost to spring, and it's such a sweet testament to the ebbing and flowing of the earth and her cycles and the wisdom that she has to teach us. And we cannot go and speak about the light until we actually meet our own depths. We can, but it's not going to be a clear indication of everything that the light possesses when we don't access the depths, right?
Absolutely.
So, what has your process been to access your own depths and go through a process of your own becoming? Because it sounds like your childhood was traumatic in many ways. Being bullied is obviously not ideal in anyone's upbringing. And yet you've persevered. You're here. You're living your purpose. You're living what you feel called to do. So how have you gotten to this place to pursue this path that you feel so called to speak? You're called to speak your truth and you do it well. So how have you gotten here
Thank
to
you.
do that? Yeah, of course.
Thank you. Well, I can say it's a daily practice of just giving yourself permission to like just be a human and make mistakes um and yeah, have to visit those really dark and scary places that you don't necessarily want to face. Um and so it's an ever evolving process. Some days are definitely easier than others. Um, some days are definitely harder than others. But, um, the things that have truly helped me stay balanced and not stay at, in the center, stay grounded, and just able to step another foot forward and keep going has been these practices that I've just, I'm so grateful to have been introduced to at, a pretty like prime age. Um, and so, yeah. Oh gosh, I lost my train of thought.
You're okay. You're okay. We're flowing. We're flowing. It's all good. That's part of it. And I think talking about hard things and then also being reminded of going to those depths can be
Yeah.
uncomfortable,
Oh, yes. It can stir up some stuff for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So
Yeah.
being brought back to that remembrance, you know, you're invited to just be nature itself and flow it out. Whatever
Thank you.
feels like needs to come through, just let it come through. And whatever doesn't want to come through right now, we don't need to talk about it.
What's so great is like, thank you for that permission because as much as I feel like I do, talk constantly about just being in flow and following the rhythms of nature and doing what's natural and giving yourself permission to do that. It's like, I think, my practice is very much still like receiving that permission from others and, knowing it's okay to take your time and like go slow and just, yeah. So anyway, thank you for that
Of
reminder.
course. Of course. I mean, I would imagine because of the work that you do, it would be challenging for you to land in that space of receiving
Mm,
the medicine that you're constantly providing for others, because now that you're pursuing this as your occupation,
mhm.
right? Like,
Yeah.
it's more challenging, I would imagine, to then give back and replenish that same medicine for you.
Oh my gosh. I love that we're talking about this right now because this is exactly
Mm,
where I feel like I am like on my journey is currently navigating uh, just how to be in right relationship with how much I'm giving versus how much I'm receiving. And just like,
yes.
yeah, because I definitely have a tendency to overgive and over nurture and burn myself out. And I've witnessed my body in total and complete burnout to a point where I was bedridden for 8 months because I literally had nothing left to give. And it was like, body was literally like, you gotta sleep. You have to rest for like 8 months. It was, yeah, truly amazing. So, I'm kind of revisiting that time and being like, okay, like, what do I need now so that I don't do that to myself again? Because I know many of us are also chronic people pleasers and nurturers and overgivers, and we do want to help so many people, and we want to contribute and be of service to the world in the ways that we can. And so, yeah, just learning how to be in a more balanced relationship with giving and receiving. So hard, so very hard. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, a daily practice nonetheless.
Mm-hmm. A daily practice, nonetheless. I mean, I remember when that day that we went into ceremony, you said that you had just received acupuncture and cupping for the first time in months, and
Mhm.
you give that service to folks on the day to
Yeah.
day.
It's so funny because I feel like that treatment definitely like was just like, what are you doing?
Mm,
um, I needed that little wake up call for sure because yeah, I have such a hard time receiving. And even, oh
mm,
my gosh, the other day I was just hanging out with some friends, two really good friends, and like asked them permission if I could talk about how I was feeling because it was so hard for me to
mm,
step out of like, I'm the practitioner, like I'm the doctor that is like here to hold space for you. And yeah, so it was so funny just witnessing myself be like, oh no, I'm like, I don't need to ask permission to do this.
no.
But yeah, it's so anyway, happy to report that I just got excellent cupping treatment the other day. So self-care is happening. I'm also
Yes.
extremely open and always willing to trade. So that's something I've been doing with friends around Portland, is just trading.
Amazing.
So anyway, always down.
I love that. I love that. That's beautiful. And I think, you know, with you and the work that you do, I want to remind you as a friend that you're enough and you're worthy to receive all of that. I think it's a construct that we have the privilege to now undo. So many of us have had to work through those paradigms within our own minds, and we get to reconstruct it. And this is part of this work, right?
Yeah.
It's part of this journey. It's the whole dance that I'm sure sweet Mother Earth is going through right now, with us learning
Absolutely.
to respect her in different ways and all of it,
Mhm.
right? It's all the dance. And we just get to ride it out. So yay. For all the challenges, all the depths, all of it.
Oh, but
Right?
I mean, isn't that an amazing invitation though? Like if we could just accept that like it's going to be uncomfortable sometimes. Like we're gonna have to
Mhm.
be we're just gonna have to be in the depths of it. Like that's just such a natural part of the cycle. I mean, winter very much is that. Just like going into the shadow, going into the depths. Like we know it's gonna come every year. Like let's just give ourselves permission to like be in that. Like imagine a society where we just like got to take care of ourselves during the winter. Like could you imagine?
What a
Like
concept.
what a concept. Because really, if you think about it, it's like capitalism, like patriarch, all of these systems are designed literally to make us live so opposite of what is natural that,
Mhm.
like, that's why the earth is suffering. That's why we're all suffering. So, the littlest ways that we can just like invite that sense of ease and flow, like all of
Mhm.
the time, right? Like, something as simple as just letting yourself receive. Like
Mhm.
this morning, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna sit and like let myself like be present with like the sunrise and like my like tea and how that can be such a powerful like just like being in service to yourself and
Mhm.
yeah anyway.
I love that. And I know that I would actually love for you to share about your tea ceremonies that you do for yourself, because that is such an incredible representation of the honoring that you can take with yourself, and just your time, your energy, your space, and wherever you're at to do something kind for yourself and replenish the body with beautiful herbs. So tell me how that kind of got started for you and what your process looks like a little bit.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, how did tea start? Let's see. Well, first of all, tea is one of my main teachers, I would definitely have to say,
Mm.
along with nature herself. But yeah, tea has become such a like non-negotiable practice for me in so many ways. But yeah, I would say I was introduced to tea ceremony and the practice of tea or cha dao, the way of tea. Um, Back when I first moved to Portland, I just met some friends who were into tea and drinking tea together and being in ceremony with tea. And I have to say, the first time I ever, or not, it was, I mean, every single time was a different experience, but there was definitely a time where I drank some very, very uh, old tea, shocha, so like fermented pu'er, that was very old, and from a tree that had been struck by lightning. And I am not kidding you. By the end of the night, we were all of us were just lying on the floor, and we had to put on just like really deep like drone music, you know, that like just shakes your like yeah body. And we just laid like that, and I was like, damn, this is like super psychedelic, and it's like just tea, you know. So anyway, I love tea.
That's so cool.
It was really cool. Yeah, I'm so grateful that I've had the opportunity to drink tea with a lot of amazing folks around town. And I don't know if anyone in Portland is familiar with the spot Chi Fine Teas. It used
Mm.
to be on Northwest Ninth and Gleason, but it was owned by a beautiful couple, Ivy and James. And Ivy is like one of the very, very few female tea masters in China, right? Because in China, it's not a traditional practice to like give females like the designations of master.
Mm.
Um, Unfortunately, that's just like how it is there. But anyway, point is, she was given the tea master title and had a shop here. And I would go sit and just drink tea with her for hours at a time. And um, anyway, her and her husband now live in Guizhou province, like literally on a tea mountain. So yeah, if you want to learn about tea, that is an excellent source for education is
I love
Ivy
that.
Etchi Fine Teas. Yes.
Thanks. I
Oh my
love
gosh.
that.
For sure. Yeah. Um, yeah, did I answer that question?
I mean, yeah, you did. Remember, we get to just flow and like whatever's coming through when we ask the questions, that's what's coming through. Like, whatever.
Thank you.
Easy breezy. I love that you make such a commitment to sound
Mm,
and the integration that you've created for yourself with both the medicine that you're providing for folks, whether it be acupuncture or shiatsu massage or whatever it may be. How has that been for your clients, blending those two modalities and then
mm.
kind of just, letting yourself see the alchemy that can take place between all of those beautiful practices that you've integrated into what has become your essence, right? It's like this beautiful gift that you get to redistribute to folks. And yeah, what's that looked like for your clients and being able to sit with you in that?
Oh my gosh, thank you for that question. It's amazing how, yeah, every single one of these questions you've asked have been like
Mm.
just so, I'm like, oh wow, I don't think about this often. Like it's so nice to take a step back and just be like, oh, I get to think about this. I get to like talk about this.
Yes, I love that.
So yeah, thank you for that permission to do that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would say that um, very naturally, like yeah, these threads just started unfurling together, and like it just kind of was like a curiosity or like a
Mm.
inquiry one day where it's like, oh, what would happen if I combined these things? Um, and it started with like my partner and I being like, oh, what would happen if we started playing music together? And that thread has just gone in such a fascinating direction. But yeah, the exploration of just combining all these like very gentle modalities for me has been like the connecting piece between all of those is just the reminder of like pure body and like energetic liberation, where like that's our natural way of being is just open, receptive, just
Mhm.
our the natural way of being where we can just be and have permission to flow and be at ease. um, and so for me all of these practices are in reverence to that and are a reminder of that. And so it's been really amazing to explore the ways that has, yeah, they just keep informing each other. It keeps morphing and evolving. It's like this ever changing practice and
Mm.
thing. Um, but I think it's been helpful for some folks. Um, that's my hope, at least.
I'm sure it
But
has. I'm sure it's been helpful.
yeah, I think that where I'm at in my journey too is just very much like I'm still so much a baby in this practice. Like, yes,
Mm.
I've been practicing Qigong since I was 15 and like did so many years of school and have like so much clinical like background, but I still very much feel like a little baby, like novice in it.
Mm.
Like the imposter syndrome is so present. And but there's, in Taoism, we talk about how we're just like there are no masters, we're just students for life. And so I think about that a lot in my practice of like, you know, I am not really doing anything. Like I'm really like not a healer. It's like your body is the healer. Like your body contains the innate wisdom and capacity to do what it needs to do. Like your body does that. Like I am just here to kind of hold space for that um,
Mhm.
in the ways that I can. So yeah, I
I love that.
yeah, it's a journey. It's a journey.
That's so good. And I am a firm believer that we are forever students. If we're doing life in the way that I think that spirit and God, whoever anyone prescribes to as their great source, the cosmos, whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's like for us to be the students of this beautiful life that we have the opportunity to live is the ultimate way to just live in reverence to all of it, right? To worship what we get to live, our to worship our breath. Every breath is an invitation to another moment in this journey of dancing with the divine.
I just literally had to take a moment to like sit and let that just percolate into all of my cells. That was so,
Mhm.
so good. Because yeah, we can take so much for granted all the time. We can just live in our cycles and routines and forget
Mm.
that it's okay to take a minute to just stop. It's okay to take a minute to feel the nourishment of a single breath and just,
Mhm.
receive that nourishment. Um, what a gift that we can do that. And it's free. It doesn't cost anything.
Totally. Totally. Yeah, I think I really loved what you had to say about us being our own healers. Like, really, you get to be the conduit of whatever spirit moves through you in that space, and you get to utilize the knowledge that you've gained throughout your life and practice that with folks. But at the end of the day, it's us and our bodies that do the work, which
Yes.
is it's wild to think about. It's
Mhm.
wild to that's part of the paradigm shift, right? Like we get to return back to the remembrance. And I feel like that
Mm.
was so much of what I took away from our weekend a couple weekends ago.
Yes,
Whoa,
absolutely.
that was
Absolutely.
crazy.
That was, I'm still very much processing a lot of that.
Same,
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
To think that just being in a group of women, that alone for all of us was we admittedly
Yeah.
a bit scary for all of
Mm.
us to be in an intimate space like that.
I had so many conversations with folks who came about how they were like drafting their messages of how to like get out of it or be like, oh, I can't, like I'm not going to be able to make it. And then, but being, yeah, led and just pulled and guided by a source to come and join. And wow, yeah, so grateful that I
Yes.
did. So grateful we did.
Same. And I think it's funny that all of us were in that same
Yes.
thought process, and yet we came and we
Yeah.
showed up and magic
Magic
happened.
ensued. Yeah.
Magic ensued. Thank you, Sierra. Thank you for holding
Oh,
space for
yes.
us. Big ups. It
Yes.
was
Big up,
such
Sierra.
such an incredible curation of humans.
Yes.
And I'm just so thankful that we all had that opportunity to heal and return to the remembrance of what it's like to heal with your sisters, with your sisters.
With your sisters. That was like, yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, being at the like on the commune, that was ever present, right?
Mm,
And then we have been so far removed from that because of the pandemic and because of our like ways that we have learned to just self-isolate. So wow, yeah, it was so powerful coming together in that way.
it's
Yeah.
been a whole, it's been a whole interesting transition. That whole weekend totally, I feel like, shook my system and in a way that is bringing me back to the remembrance of the receiving aspect. And also, you mentioned something earlier about not giving, like, it's the reciprocity
Yeah.
aspect of like not giving more
Mhm.
than like you need to replenish too, right? It's like so many folks are, I think, in this people pleasing mentality of giving back more than they're able to receive for themselves, whether they're giving it to,
Mhm.
I mean, first we need to give it to ourselves, obviously. That's non
Yeah.
negotiable.
Yeah.
But even from others, it's like with friends, are those
Mhm.
energies meeting you where you're at? Are you giving more than that relationship is giving back to you? You
Mm.
know?
Yeah.
And that weekend just didn't feel like that. It just felt very new.
Mhm.
Like everybody was just really meeting each other in this
Mm.
really beautiful, safe, and special way.
Oh my gosh. Yes. And oh my gosh, I just was thinking about how, when we all just chanted together and how that to me was such a beautiful representation of like, here we are just meeting each other, just like being with each other, just literally uniting our voices into like a one harmonious voice and like sharing that
Mm.
abundance with the world like through our voices, like
Mm-hmm.
incredible.
Well, it's like
Yeah.
what you mentioned, because you mentioned it that weekend about what you would do with your band and that resonance
Mm,
of the like voices united.
mm,
It's
yeah,
potent.
it's so potent that I mean, one of my teachers said it best, like sound is like, he was just like, sound is the medium, like sound is the medium to help like everyone just stop and like listen for a minute and like
Mm-hmm.
just like be in their own resonance, like be in resonance with nature around them, like just yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just listen. um but yeah, that weekend was such a beautiful reminder of that too, of just like what magic can happen when we all just slow down and sit on the earth together and
Mm-hmm.
breathe together and move together and yeah, sing together, chant together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just pure, just ecstatic, like oneness, like truly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ecstatic communion,
Hmm.
Sierra.
There.
It's literally in the work that she's putting out in the world. And
Yeah.
I think that was such a beautiful initiation
Mm.
into, I mean, she's already had so many other initiations, but
Yeah.
to be in community with that type of potency, especially when there was this plan
Hmm.
to dance with something outside of ourselves,
Mm,
right? Like
yes. Yes.
because plant medicine is potent and it's
Mm,
helpful.
very much so.
However,
Hmm.
we didn't even need to go there.
Yeah. We didn't even need to get there.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's, I mean,
Mm,
we were there. We were already
hmm.
there without
Hmm.
inducing anything outside of ourselves.
So that right there is why I so much love working with qigong and with
Mm,
tea. And it's like there, I mean, plant medicine is so potent, right? Like I love it. I totally support it all. Love it, love it, love it. I also love being able to practice ways of being that don't necessarily have to be like, yeah, induced by in that way, but is just kind of like achievable by just like being in your own natural existence and like just yeah, communing with other ways of being. So yeah, that's all to say. It's like it's all good. Like I welcome it all, you know.
1,000%. I'm with
Like
you. I'm with you.
yeah.
I also think that it's important,
Mhm.
however, to know how to access those parts of yourself without it.
Very much so. Um, very much so. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Just
Mhm.
it's because it's the dance. It's as above, so below. It's the same.
Mhm.
It's the we get to play in both modalities in both ways of existence, and I think it's great. I think
Mm.
I'm a
Mhm.
an advocate.
Yes.
I absolutely know that it's changed my life. However, I also know that it's helpful to know the ways that we can turn to the remembrance of accessing
Mm.
the power and the potency within our own bodies
Yes.
to
Very
get there,
much.
you know? I mean,
Yes,
I feel
absolutely.
like even your music can take you to that place of like, am I tripping right now? Like, like just high frequency, like, whoa. I feel like I was
Mm.
just in the cosmos having, you know, just a, yeah, I really do want to ask
Mhm.
where that began. Where did your interest in sound medicine begin?
Mm. This is also such a good question because, again, I feel like it's so many different threads like coming together. Um, I think a lot of it has to do with starting to play clarinet in a number of ensembles and not realizing that I was like, so like when you're playing clarinet or any like wood or like reed instrument, you're constantly just like having a continuous stream of breath blowing through like a cylindrical shape. And um, so you're naturally causing vagal tone, right? So it's that like just constant vagal nerve like stimulation. Because I remember as a kid feeling so calm, you know, as I was like breathing, as I was doing that. And like playing clarinet became that practice of like, okay, like how to be in relationship with my breath, with my, you know, the synchronized like movements of my fingers and like, and then being in marching band, adding the marching piece to that. So now breathing, moving your fingers, and now like moving your feet in succession, like with all of that. So such a practice in yeah, being in communion with like all parts and all rhythms and all ways and cycles of being.
Mm.
And so, yeah, this project that I have been nurturing with my partner has become a container for the exploration of that through sound and through combining different elements like synthesis through various synthesizers and then with singing bowls. And then most recently, I've been exploring adding my voice and combining my voice in there as well. Um, Actually, the night that you saw us at the old church was one of the first times I felt like really like comfortable in embodying that expression of myself and listening
Mm.
to my voice, um, and being able to like yeah hear it and receive it, which is so scary. So anyway, the yeah the point of all that is it's a constant practice and journey and exploration, and you know it's become such a safe and like um, just soft like container for us to land in when we need a
Mm.
place to just land for a minute. And you know I've learned that that has been the case for others as well who listen to our music, and I'm like that's amazing. You know, that's all I could ever hope for with this project is to offer more spaces that are like that, where it's like you don't have to do anything. You just show up as you are and just lay and just
Mm-hmm.
receive. And yeah, the opportunities that we have had with that, especially too with like I'm thinking about how the combination of, plant medicine and sound is becoming more of an
Mm-hmm.
a thing that's offered in the world, and that's, great too. There's so many ways that we can just partake in listening, and yeah. So yeah, that's a little bit into
That's
that.
so great. I love that. And yeah, I don't even know if I told you this, but I actually went to the East Forest show. So I saw you
Oh
open for
my
East
gosh.
Forest. I don't think I told you that. Yeah,
Yeah.
you had quite a line of folks that were looking to chat with you after. So I was like, I didn't, yeah, but I was there.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that must have been incredible. What an experience to open for that show, because that show was a portal. The whole
Mm,
thing,
yeah.
your performance was a portal, and you used your voice quite a bit at that
Yeah.
show as well, which was
Mm.
super cool. I think you were using some different contraptions
Yes,
that
yes.
I hadn't seen. And I think that that's just such a fun way for you to play. Is it?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I love it. I love just combining, yeah, like weird different sounds, like particularly from synthesizers, like with singing bowls, which are super resonant, right? Like you know what a singing bowl sounds like, and like they're um like the sine wave that it creates just from like a singular tone, right? And then that interacting and um just yeah, harmonizing and being in combination with
Mm,
synthesizers and the different waves we can produce in that. It's anyway, so fun. And yeah, so that show, I think I was playing one of my like a synthesizer actually that you use. It's like a contact mic that you use breath
mm-hmm.
to activate, and so near and dear to my heart as a lifelong clarinet player. But it just felt so natural to be like, oh, here's this
Mm,
synthesizer that I'm using like a wind instrument. um, so yeah, so so fun. But
so fun.
yeah, that was definitely what an honor, an experience to be like a part of that in some small way, and yeah, to like open up the show, and then to receive East Forest set after that, and yeah, what what a time.
Truly, it was. I know. I went to that show by myself, and
Mm.
it was such a special experience. The old church is something special.
It is one of my favorite venues in Portland, I have to say. And I really think it comes down to like all of the people there, and like just the intention with that space is really to just like provide a sanctuary for like listening to music and having a place to go do that. And
Mm,
anyway, I cannot recommend it enough. It's just such a beautiful venue. So yeah,
it sure is.
if you haven't had the opportunity to go, I highly recommend going to see a show.
Yes. Yeah. Do you have any upcoming shows? I did want to ask you about your offerings and potentially, like, if you have anything that's coming up in the works, how people can find you, all of that. And I would love for you to also share about Moss Wand and just, where they can find you there as well, because that is a part of your offering and what you are providing to this beautiful planet.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for that
Yeah.
invitation.
Mm-hmm.
So funny story. Moss Wand is going to be at the old church this coming Sunday.
Woo! I'm not
um,
going to launch this
yeah,
episode by then,
yeah,
but I
but
will let people know
thank you.
the old church Sunday.
Thank
I will let
you.
them know.
I appreciate
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Moss One will be there with some other friends. We'll do like an ambient show that day. And then there are some exciting things in the works for my personal practice. Um, Nothing is really on the books just yet. But, for those who want to just keep in touch and, follow along, I would love to, yeah, be able to connect with folks uh, who are interested in that. Um, but I also have some one-on-one, like in-person availability for acupuncture and Chinese medicine sessions. And I work out of two different offices, one in Northeast and one in Southeast. So that is available for folks who who want one-on-one support. And yeah, that's lots of. I'm still very much in my little like winter cave. I'm embodying my bear, the season of hibernation, and
Mhm.
definitely in a lot of transition, like in a deep transition right now. So more things are going to be in the works.
Mm.
Oh, I can also say that I have a monthly sound bath at the Pause Meditation Studio. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Pause.
I haven't been there.
Um, oh, it's okay. It's an awesome studio in Southwest. They do lots of different meditation classes, and I'm going to be doing a monthly Sunday sound bath there with them.
Amazing.
Yeah, so
I will
they're
definitely come to one.
awesome.
I'll be
Thank
there.
you. Yeah,
Hmm.
they're
Of
such great
course.
folks. So, yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
thank you.
I love that. And I'll include your Instagram handle, and on your Instagram people can be led to, you have like a list of all of your offerings and where people
Yes.
can make appointments and all of that, and just be led to a deeper discovery and uncovering of all of your
Mm,
beautiful offerings. So,
thank
of
you.
course, such an honor and a privilege and a pleasure. I got both of those words connected. They wanted to
Amazing.
converge a sound, right? It's the play with sound. They
Mhm.
wanted to combine. And I'm just so grateful to have just had this incredible transition into coming to see you and now being in community with you.
Yes.
And now we get to just do this sweet dance of living in beautiful Portland, Oregon together, creating, connecting, all the things. And I'm just so grateful. So thank you.
The feeling is so mutual. I am just, yeah, so honored to be able to be in community with you, and so
Mm.
grateful that our timelines crossed in the ways that they did. Like, wow, just what a privilege and pleasure. Those words are actually really hard to
Right?
say side by side.
Just like, wait, what? They're meant to be together.
They should be
Convergence,
together.
right?
Yeah,
They are.
yeah,
They are for us. Yeah,
yes.
totally. I love it. All the love, all the gratitude, just so much love and respect for you and the work that you do, and
Mm.
all of the love and energy that you pour back out to the world and the planet. I appreciate you.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Mm,
You're amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
all the love. Hey there, it's Danae again. Just wanted to say thank you for sharing your time and energy with me. If this podcast resonates, please like, subscribe, follow, and share if you're willing. Reviews help too, so if you're feeling the vibe, please leave a review where you can. Sending all the love. Peace.